Talking with Jerry.
Hey, don't forget to subscribe. If you're new to my channel, very important, make sure you subscribe so you can find out about all the content that I'll be uploading, things that are important that you'll want to know about, just the facts, not gossip, not people talking on YouTube about things that they really don't know anything about. They haven't done any research. They don't know the subjects. I just speak on experience, data, real information, factual information. So let's get busy. So I briefly wanted to follow up on a podcast that I did about 2 weeks ago. Some comments on commentary about comments that Dr. Boyce Watkins made. Nothing negative. I'm not basically coming for anybody, but I was critiquing one of his podcasts where he spoke about, why can't African Americans own or black athletes own some of the sports teams? Why do we just have to be the players? We should leave the league. And also within his commentary, he was talking about, some of the award shows, the Oscars, the Grammys, and, since black music is a big part of these award shows, and even when it comes to film, of course, there's the Oscars. So you should go back into my library of episodes, and you'll see that I went through why these things are not feasible, be it the producing of an award show to owning sports teams. But there's been some new developments, some new information, and I just thought I would just update you with some things that tie in to these particular issues. So that's why I've got my baseball cap on tonight, New York Mets. I'm a New York Mets fan, even though I went to a Yankee game last summer when I was in New York. But I want to start with golf because I was telling you last time about the LIV Golf League, which is a new golf league trying to compete with the PGA Tour. So this is a perfect example of trying to start a sports league to compete with an existing sports league. All right? And I went through this in the last podcast, but these are the updates. So the LIV Golf League, which was started by Greg Norman. Here is a picture of me and Greg Norman, who is the commissioner of the new LIV Golf League, who is a great, well-known golfer. He's a legend, backed by the Saudi investment fund of Saudi Arabia, which has, billions, hundreds of billions of dollars sitting around. I reported at the time that this new golf league, last year they lost $1 billion. Well, new figures came out, and they actually lost $1,150 million in their first year of operation. So that's an update in terms of starting a sports league, how much they lost just the first year. Now, they're in their second year. I'm going to one of their events next weekend. One of their tour stops. I'll be there representing the African American Golfers Digest. But there's some things to note that have happened with some of the players in a meeting with the commissioner, who I mentioned is Greg Norman. And last week at one of their tournaments, which was out in Tucson, Arizona, the commissioner, Greg Norman, had a meeting with the players, and they're now increasing the amount of tournaments that the players have to do above and beyond what they thought they were going to have to originally do when they left the PGA Tour to go to be a part of this new golf league. And a lot of the players were upset because they really had planned their schedules out. And one of the reasons that a lot of them, at least they said they were leaving the PGA Tour, was so with this new league, they would be home more to spend more time with their families and wouldn't be on the road as much. So that's something that is, whether you say cost cutting, but here is the second year of this league. That's a change they're making affecting players. The other thing is that's the players at this meeting, when they came out, some of the press went up to them and they said, hey, what's going on in your players meeting with Greg Norman, the commissioner, what happened? And some of them were upset about some things that you wouldn't think would be a big deal, but these guys are like prima donnas. And what it was last year, because the Saudis put money into it, was just unbelievable. Every detail with this new golf league. I was at one of their events up in New Jersey last year, and in the hospitality tent, of course, there was free food, but not like at a normal golf event, hamburgers or hot dogs. They had filet mignon, oysters Rockefeller, champagne being served in champagne flutes with, waiters and waitresses walking around filling up your glass, roast beef, lobster salad. I mean, the food was unbelievable. And that's just what you could say I had access to, or what the press or media people or others had access to. But the players, I can imagine what they had. Well, this year they had this players meeting in Tucson, Arizona, and what did they have? Cold sandwiches. So when the players came out, they were upset about that. Another cutback seems to be that last year, the players were able to travel on a private custom, I think it was a 737 that's probably owned by one of the royal princes in the royal family of Saudi Arabia. And this custom Boeing jet, whatever it is, has, of course, sofas and lounge areas and a bar and everything. And the players were taking pictures and putting it on social media. One of the reasons it's believed that the Saudis pulled that jet for usage by the players to fly them from tour stop to tour stop. But the interesting thing, though, is that now they're not going to cover anymore the players going to each event. The players have to fly themselves in out of their own pockets. So that's another cutback that this new league is making. So when it comes to starting a sports league, that's something that I just wanted to touch on. Now, before I get to baseball, I wanted to mention one other thing. And the LIV Golf League, this just happened, I read about it today, sued, even though this suit was filed some time ago, I knew about that, but in discovery in this lawsuit, what the LIV Golf League found out by accessing information that the court said they could see from the PGA Tour is that in the negotiations for the LIV Golf League to try to get a TV deal, a media deal with television networks to broadcast this new sports league, that every time they had a meeting and they thought it went well, when they would do the follow-up, the people that they met with at the various networks, especially networks all over the world, because they were trying to get TV deals all over the world, they all of a sudden weren't interested. And they thought this was strange. So they wanted to find out in their lawsuit, were any shenanigans being played? Was somebody undermining them? Well, what they found out is every time they went to meet with a TV network or overseas satellite sports network, that the PGA Tour was sending someone out to meet with those same media companies, and though there were no proof of emails, no recorded phone conversations, no text messages, they believed that they were being undermined by the PGA Tour to actually get a deal. In one case, they said they had a signed deal with someone and then it got pulled. So that just shows you, if in fact, here you have the Saudis with hundreds of billions of dollars. I just said first year they lost 1.150 million, $1.150 billion in 1 year. And they're having trouble getting a TV deal, throwing around that kind of money. And then the other sports league that's established, the PGA Tour, is doing everything to keep them from getting a future TV deal. And it's the same would happen if you went into trying to start a new football league or baseball league or anything. You're going to have those same problems. So this is where Boyce Watkins is just so way off the radar screen. So this gets me to baseball. Baseball, okay, got on the baseball cap. So Major League Baseball has been, as you may know, if you're a baseball fan, or even the fact that you may not follow baseball, then this is more of a reason to know that people don't watch baseball too much anymore. Of course, the Yankees, their games are pretty much sold out. You have a few teams that do well. But you have teams like the Oakland A's out in Oakland, California, that, on most days, there's 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people in the stadium, that there should be 20, 30, 40,000 people. People buy season tickets. They're sitting upstairs. After the first inning, they can go sit right behind the catchers section in the baseball park, or sit by third base or first base because there's nobody there. And in television broadcasting, each year there's less and less people watching TV. Now there's a company, you're familiar with Bally's, they own casinos and then make the gambling machines. They're in this business arrangement with Sinclair Broadcasting, which is a big TV ownership company that owns independent TV stations around the United States, and Diamond Sports. Now, they had the broadcast TV rights for 15 Major League Baseball teams, right? And they spent, I think, over $1 billion for these TV rights, and then they were going to go out and sell the advertising to advertisers, and that's how they make their profit. So the local teams don't have to go and spend time trying to get advertisers to make money for the team to make payroll and run the stadium and have the team travel from point A to point B. They're going to sell these rights to a separate company. Well, this company, because Major League Baseball is just not getting a lot of people to watch it anymore, they could not generate enough money to sell the ads from Madison Avenue, the big companies or the advertising agencies, and they had borrowed money to pay Major League Baseball through bonds, Wall Street bonds. They have an interest payment coming up. I think it's $140 million that I think it was due this week. The word was they weren't going to be able to pay it, and they were probably going to go bankrupt. So these teams get 21% of their revenue to run their baseball teams from this income. So if they don't have the money from TV ads, how are they going to pay their players these $1 million salaries? The owners are going to have to put up money. And as I said, I got my New York Mets hat on, and someone I've done podcasts about who I don't like anymore, Bill Maher, used to actually own a piece of the New York Mets. And on one of his shows one Friday, he says, "Oh man, I had an owner's call, and we didn't have enough money to keep things going forward with the team, and we the owners had to put up money." Now he didn't say how much more he had to come up with. Could have been to run the stadium, it could have been for travel, could have been for payroll, but the Mets have a pretty big payroll, and he is one of the owners, had to come up and put up, who knows, perhaps $1 million, $2 million just to keep the team going. So this just gets back to what I was talking about. I don't think, black people, the African American community, should be concerned about as a priority trying to own a sports team or a sports league. I mean, the most outrageous thing, which, as I said, I gave the example of a new startup league at the LIV Golf League, backed by the Saudis. Over, the first year they invested $1.15 billion that they didn't get back. And now they're into their second season, making all types of cutbacks because they don't want to lose that much money in year two. And, I went into details about, what it would take to compete with the PGA Tour, Major League Baseball, or the NFL as a competitor. And it's been tried before. The NFL, you've had the USFL League, started by a number of wealthy owners. One who at the time was the former President Donald Trump that owned the New Jersey Generals, that Herschel Walker played for, and that league went under, So it's very difficult to do these things. And I just wanted to update you, those of you that are into sports, those of you that are into black business, or you follow Boyce Watkins. Once again, nobody's hating, nobody's saying anything that is controversial. I'm just pointing out some facts. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be coming back with something very interesting about BET, just the facts.